Marcus Chen cannot move from his bed to answer the phone ringing 6 feet away. His daughter will find him in 4 hours, but the call is from the hospital, and they will not call again. He has not seen his feet in 3 years. The reinforced steel frame beneath him was installed by a construction crew who were told it was for equipment, not a man. His body has become the room's largest piece of furniture, and the room has become the entirety of his world. Last week the scale registered 770 pounds, but he could not stand on it long enough for the number to stabilize. This morning, his oxygen mask fogged differently, shallower, erratic. Ellen, his sister, told Dr. Brennan yesterday that Marcus might not make it to the consultation next month. Dr. Brennan moved the timeline up. The surgery Marcus needs has never been performed on someone his size at this facility. If he is approved, the procedure will happen in 6 weeks. If his weight increases by even 30 more pounds, his heart will not survive the anesthesia, and the decision will be made for him. The bedroom window faces east, but Marcus has not seen morning light directly in over a year. The curtains stay closed because opening them requires reaching, and reaching requires movement his body can no longer provide without assistance. The room measures 12 by 14 feet. It contains a reinforced hospital bed, 2 industrial fans, a television mounted to the wall, and Marcus. He wakes at odd hours now. Sleep comes in fragments, interrupted by pain in his legs, pressure sores that never fully heal, and the constant work of breathing. His CPAP machine hisses beside him, but even with it his oxygen levels drop during the night. Some mornings he wakes convinced he stopped breathing entirely, that the sensation of waking is itself a mistake. His daughter Lily arrives at 7:30. She is 19, attending community college part-time, working overnight shifts at a grocery store to pay for the supplies her father needs. She does not knock anymore. The sound of the front door unlocking is Marcus's alarm clock. She brings breakfast on a tray, scrambled eggs, toast, hash browns, a protein shake Dr. Brennan insisted be added to every meal. Marcus is supposed to be eating less, preparing his body for the possibility of surgery, but the portions have not changed. Lily sets the tray on the adjustable table beside the bed and raises it to the right height without speaking. "Morning, Lil," Marcus says. "Morning." She does not look at him. This has been true for weeks now. She looks at the tray, at the remote control, at the medical equipment crowding the bedside table, but not at her father. Marcus understands why, though they have never discussed it. To look directly at him is to confront the full reality of what he has become, and Lily is 20 years younger than Marcus. She should not have to carry this. He eats slowly. His hands shake slightly. Nerve damage maybe, or just the effort of supporting even the weight of a fork. Lily gathers yesterday's dishes, 7 plates stacked on the dresser across the room, remnants of meals brought at 2-hour intervals because Marcus cannot eat full portions anymore without feeling sick. Ellen called, Lily says, her back still turned. She's coming by later. What time? She didn't say. Ellen is Marcus's older sister by 4 years. She lives 20 minutes away and has been organizing his care since he became bedbound. She schedules the home health aides, manages the insurance claims, argues with the medical supply company when equipment arrives broken. She has 3 children of her own and a husband who has started asking pointed questions about how much longer this arrangement can continue. Lily finishes clearing the dishes and stands in the doorway. "I have class at noon." "Who's coming while you're gone?" "Sharon. She'll be here at 11:30. Sharon is one of the rotating aides, a woman in her 50s with efficiency in her movements and no warmth in her voice. She does what is required, helps Marcus shift positions to prevent sores, assists him to the bedside commode, checks his vitals, but she does not pretend this is anything other than a job. Marcus prefers her to the ones who try to be cheerful. Lily leaves. The house falls silent except for the television, which Marcus turns on more for the noise than the content. A morning talk show. People laughing about things that feel impossibly distant from this room. At 10:15 his phone vibrates. He picks it up from where it rests on his chest, the only place he can reliably reach it. A text from Ellen, bringing the scale. Dr. B wants current weight before the call tomorrow. Marcus sets the phone down. He knows what the scale will say, approximately. He can feel it in the way his body has been pressing harder into the mattress, the way the effort of rolling to his side has become more difficult in recent weeks. He has been eating what Lily brings him. He has not been exercising because exercise at 770 pounds while bedridden means lifting his legs 10 times or squeezing a rubber ball the physical therapist left behind. He tried for a week, then stopped. The scale arrives at 2 o'clock. Ellen comes through the door with a home health aide Marcus does not recognize, a younger man who handles the equipment with the practiced disinterest of someone who has seen worse. They bring in the bariatric scale, a flat platform with railings that can support up to 1,000 pounds. "Hey, Marcus," Ellen says. She is the only person who still looks at him directly. "We're going to get you up, okay?" Getting up requires 3 people, Ellen, the aide, and Sharon, who has returned early for this. They count to 3 and shift Marcus's legs to the side of the bed, then count again and pull him to a sitting position. The room tilts. Marcus grips the railing they have installed beside the bed and tries to breathe through the dizziness. Standing takes another 5 minutes. The pain in his knees is immediate and severe. The aide positions himself behind Marcus, hands braced against his back, while Ellen and Sharon support his arms. They move him the 4 feet to the scale. The digital display climbs. 750, 780, 800. It settles finally at 810. Ellen's face does not change, but Marcus sees her grip tighten on his arm, 40 pounds heavier than last month, 40 pounds closer to the threshold Dr. Brennan warned about. They lower him back into bed. The aide leaves quickly. Sharon returns to the kitchen to prepare the next meal. Ellen sits in the chair beside the bed, the one that used to belong to Marcus's ex-wife before she stopped visiting, before she told him she could not watch him die in slow motion. "The consultation is tomorrow," Ellen says quietly. "Video call at 10 a.m. Marcus nods. He knows what Dr. Brennan will say. He knows the terms of the agreement they made 6 weeks ago. Lose weight, prove commitment, or lose eligibility for the surgery that represents his only realistic chance of survival. "I'll be here," Ellen says. She stands, touches his shoulder once, and leaves. Marcus stares at the ceiling. The silence returns, heavier than before. The house was not built for Marcus. It was built in 1987 for a family of 4, with standard doorways, normal bathroom fixtures, and floors designed to hold furniture. Not the concentrated weight of a single human being who can no longer distribute his mass by standing. The modifications began 3 years ago. First came the hospital bed, rented from a medical supply company, and delivered by 2 men who needed 40 minutes to navigate it through the front door. Then the bedside commode, which Marcus used until he could no longer transfer himself safely. Then the reinforced flooring, installed after a home inspector warned that the joists beneath Marcus's bedroom were beginning to bow. The scale in the living room is not decorative. It is a B4 MS 5000, designed for livestock and industrial use, capable of measuring up to 1,200 pounds. It cost $1,900. Ellen found it used online and drove 3 hours to pick it up because shipping would have cost another $400. Marcus has stood on it 6 times in the past year. Each time required planning, multiple people, and the acceptance that the number it displayed would be worse than the month before. The bathroom has not been used for its intended purpose in 14 months. Marcus cannot fit through the doorway, which is 32 inches wide. Even if he could, the toilet would not support him, the shower stall would not accommodate him, and the trip from bedroom to bathroom, approximately 25 feet, would require assistance he can no longer safely receive from just one person. Instead, there is the commode beside his bed. There are adult briefs for overnight, changed by whichever aide is on duty. There are bed baths, sponges and soap and basins of warm water, the clinical process of cleaning a body too large to move itself to water. Marcus has not showered standing up since 2022. Ellen arrives most mornings before work. She is an administrative assistant at a dental office, a job with fixed hours and no flexibility, but she has negotiated her start time to 8:30 so she can check on Marcus first. This morning she brings mail, medication refills, and a new pressure relief cushion the insurance company finally approved after 3 months of appeals. "How was the night?" she asks. "Fine. It is never fine." Marcus does not sleep more than 90 minutes consecutively. The pain in his back and hips is constant. The CPAP mask leaves marks on his face that take hours to fade. But fine is the answer that requires no follow-up, and Ellen already looks exhausted. She sets the mail on the dresser, mostly medical bills, collection notices, an envelope from the state Medicaid office. Marcus receives disability payments of $2,247 per month. His care costs approximately $6,000 per month when accounting for aids, medical supplies, medication, and the specialized food Dr. Brennan's office recommended. The difference is made up by Ellen, by Lily's paycheck from the grocery store, by GoFundMe campaigns Ellen runs with Marcus's photo and story, by the slow liquidation of everything Marcus owned before he became bedbound. His truck was sold 18 months ago. His tools went to a pawn shop. The furniture from his old apartment is in Ellen's garage, unsellable because no one wants a couch that sat in a home where someone died, even though Marcus is not dead yet. "Sharon's coming at 11, Ellen says, "and I got you on the schedule for a wound care nurse on Thursday. The sore on your lower back is not healing." Marcus knows about the sore. He can feel it, a constant burning sensation just above his tailbone. It started as redness and has progressed over 6 weeks into an open wound that weeps fluid into the absorbent pads beneath him. Pressure sores are common among bedbound patients. Severe pressure sores become infected. Infected pressure sores become septic. Sepsis at 8 on 10 pounds is often fatal. "Okay," Marcus says. Ellen sits in the chair beside the bed. This is the part of the visit where she transitions from logistics to something more difficult. Marcus can see it in the way she folds her hands in her lap, the way her jaw tightens slightly. "David wants to talk tonight," she says. David is Ellen's husband. Marcus has met him perhaps a dozen times, mostly at family gatherings before Marcus's weight made attending them impossible. David works in construction management. He is practical, numbers-oriented, and increasingly vocal about the strain Ellen's involvement in Marcus's care is placing on their marriage. "What about?" Marcus asks, though he knows. How long this can keep going? The question beneath the question is clear. How long can Ellen afford to pay for her brother's survival? How long can she leave her own family every morning and evening to manage his medications, coordinate his care, fight with insurance companies and medical billing departments? How long before her marriage collapses under the weight of someone else's crisis? "I'm not asking you to keep doing this," Marcus says. "I know. If you need to step back, don't." Ellen's voice is sharp, then softer. "Don't make this easier for me. You're my brother." They sit in silence. The television plays in the background, a commercial for life insurance. Ellen stands. "The call with Dr. Brennan is in 2 hours. I'll be back at 9:30 so we can set up the laptop." She leaves before Marcus can respond. The sound of her car starting in the driveway, then pulling away. Marcus looks around the room, really looks at it for the first time in weeks. The medical equipment crowding every surface. The modified furniture designed to hold him. The bottles of medication lined up like soldiers on the dresser. The smell, antiseptic and sweat, and something underneath that no amount of cleaning fully removes. This room has become a machine designed for one purpose, keeping Marcus Chen alive. Every object in it, every modification, every person who enters and exits exists in service of sustaining a body that is actively trying to destroy itself. The architecture of dependency is not just physical. It is financial, emotional, relational. It is measured not in walls and door frames, but in how many people must reshape their lives around the immobility of one person. It is calculated in dollars per day, hours per week, years of someone else's future traded for months of Marcus's present. At 9:30, Ellen returns. She sets up the laptop on the adjustable table, angling the camera so Dr. Brennan will see Marcus from the chest up, a framing that obscures the full scope of his condition. She tests the audio, adjusts the lighting, then sits in the chair just outside the camera's view. At exactly 10 a.m., the screen flickers. Dr. Brennan's face appears, and the consultation begins. Dr. Brennan does not begin with pleasantries. The screen shows a man in his late 50s, grey hair cropped short, wearing surgical scrubs under a white coat. His office is visible behind him, diplomas on the wall, medical texts on shelves, the sterile efficiency of someone who has no time for decoration. He looks directly into the camera, which means he is looking directly at Marcus. "Mr. Chen," he says, "I have your updated weight from yesterday, 810 pounds. It is not a question." Dr. Brennan's voice carries no judgment, but also no softness. He states facts the way a mechanic might describe a failing engine, clinical, precise, and focused on what can still be salvaged. "Yes," Marcus says, "that's 40 pounds heavier than your last recorded weight 6 weeks ago. We discussed a target trajectory at that time. You were supposed to lose weight, not gain it." Ellen shifts in her chair just outside the camera frame. Marcus can feel her tension, the way she is holding herself completely still, afraid that any movement might make this conversation worse. "I know," Marcus says. "Do you?" Dr. Brennan leans forward slightly. "Because the numbers suggest otherwise. Help me understand what happened in the past 6 weeks. Marcus tries to formulate an answer. The truth is complex. The meals Lily brings because she is afraid he will starve if she brings less. The midnight hours when hunger becomes unbearable and he calls for food. The complete absence of physical activity because his body will not allow it. But complexity sounds like excuses, and Dr. Brennan does not seem like a man who accepts excuses. "I've been eating what's put in front of me," Marcus says finally. "That's the problem." Dr. Brennan pulls up something on his screen, reads it briefly, then returns his attention to Marcus. "Your basal metabolic rate, the calories your body burns just staying alive, is approximately 4,200 calories per day. To lose 2 pounds per week, which was our agreed-upon goal, you need to consume no more than 3,200 calories daily. Based on the weight gain, you're consuming somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000. The numbers land like stones. Marcus has not counted calories in years, maybe decades. Food stopped being about nutrition and became about comfort, distraction, the only reliable thing in a life that had collapsed in every other direction. "I can work with patients who struggle," Dr. Brennan continues. "I can work with setbacks, with plateaus, with slow progress. What I cannot work with is a patient who is actively moving in the wrong direction while telling me they want to live." "I do want to live," Marcus says, and his voice breaks slightly on the words. "Then prove it." "Doctor." Brennan's tone does not soften, but something shifts in his expression. Not sympathy exactly, but recognition. "Mr. Chen, I am going to be direct with you, because anything less would be dishonest. At your current weight, you have between 12 and 18 months before your heart fails completely. That is not an estimate, that is medical certainty, based on your cardiac function tests, your blood work, and your complete inability to engage in any physical activity." Ellen makes a small sound, quickly suppressed. Marcus cannot look at her. "Surgery is your only realistic option," Dr. Brennan says, "but surgery at 8 and 10 pounds is extraordinarily dangerous. The anesthesia alone could kill you. Your heart might not restart after we stop it. You could develop blood clots during the procedure that travel to your lungs or brain. You could have a stroke on the table. Even if everything goes perfectly, your recovery will be brutal and there is no guarantee you survive it." "So what are you saying?" Marcus asks. "I'm saying that surgery is a risk, but doing nothing is a certainty. You will die, Mr. Chen. The only question is whether you die having tried to save yourself, or whether you die in that bed in the next year and a half." The silence that follows is absolute. Even the television seems muted, though Marcus did not touch the remote. Dr. Brennan pulls up another document. "Here are the requirements for surgical eligibility at my facility. You need to lose a minimum of 80 pounds in the next 4 months. That brings you to 730, which is still dangerously high, but within the range where I am willing to operate. You need to demonstrate consistent compliance with the pre-surgical diet plan my office will provide. You need to attend weekly video consultations so I can monitor your progress and address problems before they derail everything." He pauses, letting the weight of the requirements settle. "You also need to complete a psychological evaluation. Surgery is not magic, Mr. Chen. I will make your stomach smaller, but I cannot fix the reasons you eat. If you do not address those, you will stretch the stomach back out, regain the weight, and die anyway. The therapy is not optional." Marcus nods. Though the idea of therapy, of sitting with a stranger and excavating the reasons behind 30 years of self-destruction, feels almost as terrifying as the surgery itself. "Can you do this?" Dr. Brennan asks. "Can you follow a 2,400-calorie daily meal plan for 4 months? Can you be honest with me when you fail instead of hiding it? Can you show me that you want to live more than you want to eat?" The question hangs in the air. Ellen is watching him now. Marcus can feel it even without turning his head. Lily will ask about this call when she returns from class. Sharon will continue coming 3 times a week regardless of what he says, but her efficiency will carry a different weight if she knows she is caring for someone who has decided to save himself. "Yes," Marcus says. "I don't believe you yet," Dr. Brennan replies, "but I'm willing to give you the chance to prove me wrong. My office will send the meal plan and the therapy referral today. Your next weigh-in is in 2 weeks. If you have gained weight, we're done. If you've maintained, we'll discuss what went wrong. If you've lost weight, we continue. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Good." Dr. Brennan's expression shifts slightly, the closest thing to encouragement Marcus has seen. "You're not the heaviest patient I've worked with, Mr. Chen. You're not the most hopeless case I've encountered. But you're running out of time, and I need you to understand that. The next 4 months will determine whether you live or die. Not me, not surgery, you." The screen goes dark. The consultation is over. Ellen stands slowly, closes the laptop, and looks at Marcus for a long moment. She does not ask if he meant what he said. She does not offer encouragement or doubt. She simply picks up her purse and walks to the door. "I'll be back tonight with the meal plan," she says. "We start tomorrow." Then she is gone, and Marcus is alone with the weight of a promise he is not sure he can keep. The meal plan arrives by email at 3 o'clock the same afternoon. Ellen prints it at her office and brings it to Marcus before heading home. It is 6 pages long, broken down by week, by day, by meal. Every portion is measured in ounces or cups. Every calorie is accounted for. There is no ambiguity, no room for interpretation. Breakfast: 2 eggs, 1 slice of whole wheat toast, half a cup of berries, black coffee or water. 320 calories. Morning snack: 1 small apple, 2 tablespoons of almond butter. 240 calories. Lunch: 4 ounces of grilled chicken breast, 2 cups of mixed vegetables, no dressing. 280 calories, the list continues. Dinner, evening snack. Total daily intake: 2,400 calories, exactly as Dr. Brennan specified. At the bottom of the document, a note in bold: "Deviation from this plan must be reported immediately. Hidden eating is a form of self-harm." Marcus reads it 3 times. The portions seem impossibly small. The food seems joyless. But he agreed, and Ellen is watching him with an expression that makes clear she will not tolerate failure. "Starting tomorrow," she says. "I'll prep everything tonight and bring it in the morning. The first day is manageable." Marcus eats the eggs and toast at 7:30. They are gone in 4 minutes. His stomach, accustomed to receiving 3 or 4 times that amount, signals that breakfast is incomplete. He drinks water until the sensation dulls. By 10 a.m., he is genuinely hungry. The apple and almond butter help, but not enough. Lunch at noon feels the same. Adequate in the moment, insufficient an hour later. By dinner, Marcus's mind has narrowed to a single focus: the absence of enough food. He does not ask for more. Lily delivers each meal precisely as written, removes the previous dishes and leaves. There is no conversation about how he feels, no acknowledgement of the difficulty. The plan is the plan. Day 2 is worse. Hunger has become a constant presence, not sharp but pervasive, a background hum that colors every thought. Marcus watches television without absorbing the content. He thinks about food, not the chicken and vegetables on the plan, but the things that are no longer allowed: pizza, Chinese takeout, the burgers Lily used to bring from the drive-thru, 2 at a time. By day 5, something shifts. The hunger is still there, but Marcus's body begins to adjust. The portions start to feel less absurd. He notices he can breathe slightly easier, that the pressure in his chest has decreased marginally. When Ellen arrives with the scale on day 14, Marcus allows himself cautious optimism. He has lost 17 pounds. The scale reads 793. Ellen's face breaks into the first genuine smile Marcus has seen from her in months. She texts Dr. Brennan's office immediately with the update. Within an hour, a response arrives. Good progress. Continue. The second 2 weeks are harder than the first. The initial momentum fades. Marcus's body, having adjusted to the reduced calories, stops losing weight as quickly. The scale on day 21 shows 786, only 7 pounds lost in a week. Dr. Brennan's office notes the slowdown but does not sound alarms. Plateaus are normal. Stay consistent. But consistency is exactly what Marcus is losing. The meals have become monotonous. The portions feel punishing. At night, alone in the dark with only the sound of the CPAP machine and the television, Marcus begins to think about food the way an addict thinks about their drug of choice, obsessively, desperately, with a planning mind that searches for loopholes. It happens on day 24. Lily is at class. Sharon has finished her shift and left for the day. Marcus is alone for 4 hours, longer than usual due to a scheduling conflict. His phone is within reach. The food delivery apps are still installed. He tells himself he will just look. He opens the app and scrolls through options: pizza, Chinese, burgers, all of it familiar and available within 30 minutes. His finger hovers over the order button. He thinks about Dr. Brennan's warning, about Ellen's smile at the weigh-in, about the promise he made. He closes the app without ordering, but the fact that he wanted to, the fact that he came so close, terrifies him more than he admits to anyone. Day 26. Lily brings dinner at 6 p.m. Baked salmon, steamed broccoli, a small sweet potato. She sets it on the table and turns to leave, but Marcus stops her. "Can you stay for a minute?" She pauses in the doorway, then returns and sits in the chair Ellen usually occupies. She looks at him directly for the first time in weeks. "This is really hard," Marcus says. "I know. I almost ordered food the other day. When I was alone." Lily's expression does not change, but something in her posture tightens. "Did you?" "No, but I wanted to." She's quiet for a moment, looking down at her hands. When she speaks, her voice is steady but strained. "Dad, if you're going to quit, just quit. Don't make us keep doing this if you're not serious." The words land like a punch. Marcus has spent so much time thinking about his own struggle that he has not fully considered what this requires from everyone else. Lily measuring every portion, preparing meals twice a day while working overnight shifts. Ellen checking in constantly, managing the logistics of his survival. Sharon and the other aides performing the intimate, difficult work of caring for someone who cannot care for himself. "I'm not quitting," Marcus says. "Then don't almost order food. Don't tell me you came close. Either do this or don't, but stop acting like you deserve credit for not failing." She leaves before he can respond. The salmon goes cold on the plate before Marcus has the appetite to eat it. Day 28. The scale shows 781. 39 pounds lost in 4 weeks. Dr. Brennan's office sends a message. "Excellent work. Maintain this trajectory." But the same night at 2 a.m., Marcus wakes with hunger so intense it feels like pain. He lies in the dark for an hour, trying to will himself back to sleep. Finally, he reaches for his phone and texts Lily. "Can you bring something when you come in the morning? I'm really struggling." The response comes 20 minutes later. "No. Drink water. Go back to sleep." Marcus stares at the message. His daughter is 3 miles away, probably lying awake herself now, knowing her father is suffering but refusing to make it easier for him. It would be so simple. A single meal off-plan, a temporary reprieve, a gesture of compassion. But she does not bring it. When she arrives at 7:30, she brings exactly what the meal plan specifies and nothing more. Day 30. Marcus has lost 42 pounds total. He weighs 768. The scheduled consultation with Dr. Brennan is in 3 days, and for the first time since this began, Marcus allows himself to believe he might actually survive this. That night, alone again, he dreams about food. Not the restricted portions of the meal plan, but the meals of his previous life. Abundant, excessive, the only thing that ever made him feel safe. He wakes at 4 a.m., disoriented and profoundly sad, understanding finally that what he is mourning is not just food itself but the relationship he built with it, the way it filled every space that people and purpose once occupied. The hunger, he realizes, is not really about hunger at all. The pain starts at 11:30 on a Tuesday night, 33 days into the meal plan. Marcus wakes from shallow sleep with pressure in his chest, a tightness that feels like someone is standing on his sternum. He tries to shift position, thinking it is just the weight of his body compressing his lungs. But the movement makes it worse. His breath comes short and shallow. The CPAP machine hisses beside him, but he cannot get enough air through the mask. He pulls it off and gasps, which triggers a coughing fit that sends sharp pain radiating across his chest and down his left arm. Marcus reaches for his phone. His hands are shaking badly enough that it takes 3 attempts to unlock the screen. He calls Ellen. She answers on the second ring, her voice thick with sleep. "Marcus, what's wrong?" "Something's wrong. My chest. I can't breathe right." There is a pause, then the sound of movement, sheets rustling. "I'm calling 911. Don't hang up." "Ellen, don't argue with me. Stay on the line." The next 10 minutes stretch into something timeless. Marcus can hear Ellen on another phone, giving his address to the dispatcher, explaining his weight and medical condition. He focuses on breathing, on staying conscious, on not panicking even as his mind begins cataloging everything this could be. Heart attack, pulmonary embolism, congestive heart failure, all of them potentially fatal at his size. The paramedics arrive at 11:50. Ellen must have given them a key or left the door unlocked because they come through without knocking. 2 men and 1 woman, all carrying equipment, all moving with practiced urgency until they see Marcus and stop. The woman recovers first. "Mr. Chen, I'm paramedic Costa. Can you tell me what you're experiencing?" Marcus describes the chest pain, the shortness of breath, the tightness. Costa takes his blood pressure while one of the men sets up a portable EKG machine. The readings come back quickly. Blood pressure dangerously high, heart rhythm irregular but not immediately critical, oxygen saturation at 87%. "We need to transport you," Costa says. "But I'm going to be honest, Mr. Chen. Getting you to the ambulance is going to be difficult." It takes 6 people. The 2 paramedics, Ellen, who arrives 10 minutes after them, Sharon, who lives close enough to come when Ellen calls her, and 2 firefighters summoned as additional assistance. They use a bariatric transport board, a piece of equipment designed to slide beneath patients and distribute their weight across a wider surface. The transfer from bed to board takes 15 minutes. Every movement sends fresh pain through Marcus's chest. By the time they maneuver him through the bedroom door, which requires tilting the board at an angle and removing the door frame trim, Marcus is grey-faced and barely conscious. The ambulance is specially equipped, but even so the process of loading him requires a mechanized lift system and careful coordination. Ellen rides in front. The paramedics work in back, administering oxygen, monitoring vitals, radiating controlled tension that Marcus recognizes as barely suppressed alarm. The hospital is prepared. Costa called ahead. They take Marcus directly to a bariatric room in the cardiac unit, a space designed with reinforced equipment and wider clearances. A doctor arrives within minutes. Not Dr. Brennan, but someone from his practice, a younger man named Dr. Okafor, who speaks quickly and listens carefully. The tests begin immediately. Blood work. Chest X-ray performed with a portable machine because Marcus cannot be moved to radiology. Another EKG, an echocardiogram to assess heart function. Dr. Okafor orders troponin levels checked every 3 hours to rule out active heart attack. By 4 a.m., the immediate crisis has stabilized. The chest pain has decreased with medication. Marcus's oxygen levels have improved to 92%. The preliminary results suggest not a heart attack, but acute heart strain, his heart working too hard, for too long, with too much weight pressing down on it. Ellen sits in the chair beside the hospital bed. She has not left. She looks 10 years older than she did yesterday, exhausted in a way that goes beyond simple lack of sleep. "They're keeping you for observation," she says. "At least 48 hours. Marcus nods. He is too tired to respond with words. At 8 a.m., Dr. Brennan appears. He does not call first. He simply walks into the room, still in surgical scrubs, and stands at the foot of Marcus's bed with an expression that reveals nothing. "Mr. Chen," he says, "I read the admission notes. I reviewed your test results. I spoke with Dr. Okafor. Do you want to tell me what happened?" "I woke up with chest pain. That's not what I'm asking. Doctor. Brennan steps closer. You've lost 42 pounds in 33 days. That's excellent progress. Your heart should be under less stress, not more. So something else is happening here. What is it? Marcus looks at Ellen, then back at Dr. Brennan. I don't know. Yes, you do. Dr. Brennan's voice is not loud, but it carries absolute authority. I've been doing this for 23 years, Mr. Chen. I know what cardiac distress looks like in bariatric patients. I also know what happens when someone follows the diet plan publicly, but breaks it privately. The weight loss slows down. The body goes into metabolic confusion. The heart, already compromised, struggles to adapt. So I'm going to ask you one more time. What happened? The room is silent. Ellen is staring at Marcus now, and he can see understanding beginning to dawn in her expression. The realization that there is something he has not told her, some piece of the truth he has been withholding. I've been eating other food, Marcus says finally. The words feel like they are being pulled out of him. Not much, just sometimes at night, when I'm alone. Ellen stands up so fast, the chair scrapes loudly against the floor. What? Lily would leave at 8. Sharon would be gone by 9. I'd be alone until morning. Marcus cannot look at either of them. I'd order delivery, just once or twice a week. Small things. Small things. Ellen's voice is shaking. Small things like what, Marcus? Pizza. Sometimes Chinese food. It wasn't a lot. Just enough to stop feeling like I was starving. Dr. Brennan is watching this exchange with clinical detachment, letting Ellen process the betrayal before he intervenes. When he finally speaks, his tone has shifted, colder, more distant. How many calories were you actually consuming per day? I don't know. Maybe 3,500, 4,000, which means the 42 pounds you lost is probably closer to what you should have lost eating 60,000 calories total instead of the 72,000 on the meal plan. The math works out. Your heart doesn't. Dr. Brennan picks up Marcus's chart, makes a note, sets it down. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay here under supervised care for 3 days. You will eat exactly what the hospital dietary staff brings you. No outside food. No visitors bringing you anything. When you're discharged, you're going to decide whether you want to live or whether you want to keep lying to yourself and everyone trying to save you. I want to live, Marcus says. Then prove it. Because right now, Mr. Chen, you're not just failing yourself. You're wasting the time and energy of every single person in this room. Dr. Brennan turns to Ellen. If you want to continue supporting him, that's your choice. But you should know that statistically, patients who hide eating behaviors at this stage rarely succeed long-term. The surgery won't fix what's broken if he can't be honest about what's breaking him. He leaves without waiting for a response. Ellen stares at Marcus for a long moment, her face a mixture of anger and grief and something that might be resignation. I have to go to work, she says quietly. I'll come back tonight. Ellen, don't. She picks up her purse. Just don't. She walks out, and Marcus is alone with the monitors beeping steadily, and the knowledge that he has betrayed every person who believed he could change. The therapist's name is Dr. Patricia Lim. She appears on the hospital room laptop screen 48 hours after Marcus's admission, arranged by Dr. Brennan's office as a condition of continuing treatment. She is a woman in her mid-40s with dark hair pulled back and an expression that suggests she has heard every story, every excuse, every version of human suffering that exists. Mr. Chen, she says, I'm going to ask you some questions. There are no wrong answers, but I need you to be honest. Can you do that? Marcus, still in the hospital bed, nods. He has spent 2 days eating nothing but what the hospital provides, 1,800 calories per day under medical supervision. His chest pain has resolved. His heart rhythm has stabilized. But the real problem, everyone now understands, is not purely medical. Tell me about the first time you remember using food for something other than hunger, Dr. Lim says. The question catches Marcus off guard. He expected to talk about the recent lying, the hidden deliveries, the betrayal of trust. Instead, she's asking him to go backward, into territory he has not examined in decades. I don't know, he says. Think about it. Not the first time you ate. The first time you ate because you felt something you didn't want to feel. Marcus closes his eyes. The memory surfaces slowly, reluctantly. He is 11 years old. His mother has just told him she is sick, cancer, stage 3, prognosis uncertain. She delivers this information in the kitchen while making dinner, her voice steady, her hands shaking slightly as she stirs pasta sauce. Marcus does not cry. He does not ask questions. He sits at the table and eats 3 servings of spaghetti, then a bowl of ice cream, then another bowl, until his stomach hurts, and the fear has been temporarily displaced by the physical sensation of fullness. "I was 11, Marcus says, opening his eyes. "My mom told me she had cancer. I ate until I couldn't think about it anymore. Did it work? For a little while. And then I had to think about it again. So I ate again." "Doctor," Lim nods, writing something on a notepad outside the camera's view. "Your mother died when you were 14, according to your medical history. Tell me about that time." Marcus has not talked about his mother's death in years, maybe not since it happened. After she died, his father shut down emotionally, stopped speaking beyond the necessary logistics of daily life. Marcus learned quickly that grief was something to be managed privately, that expressing pain was an imposition on people who had their own suffering to manage. "It was bad," Marcus says. "She got worse for 2 years, then she died. My dad didn't know how to handle it, I didn't either." "What did you do with that grief?" "I ate." "What else?" Marcus hesitates. "Nothing else. Just that." Dr. Lim leans forward slightly. "Mr. Chen, grief doesn't exist in isolation. When your mother died, you lost more than just her. What else changed?" The question opens something Marcus has kept sealed for 30 years. His mother was not just a parent. She was the person who mediated between Marcus and his father, who created warmth in a household that would have otherwise been silent and cold. When she died, Marcus lost not only her, but any sense of emotional safety in his own home. His father became a stranger. The house became a place to survive rather than live. "Everything changed," Marcus says quietly. "My dad stopped talking. He worked all the time. I was alone most days after school. There was no one to—" He stops, unsure how to finish the sentence. "No one to witness you," Dr. Lim says. "No one to see that you were in pain." "Yeah." So food became the witness. It was there. It was reliable. It never said no. Marcus feels something tighten in his chest, not the physical pain from 2 days ago, but something deeper. "I guess." "Let's move forward," Dr. Lim says. "You got married at 26, divorced at 34. Tell me about that." Marcus's marriage is another subject he has avoided examining. Jessica was a co-worker, someone he dated for 6 months before proposing, someone who seemed stable and kind and willing to build a life with him. They had 2 children, Lily and her younger brother Michael. For a while, it worked. Then, it stopped working. "She left because of my weight," Marcus says. "Is that what she told you?" "Not exactly. She said she couldn't watch me kill myself. She said the kids needed a father who could be present, not someone who was eating himself to death." Was she wrong? The question is direct, almost cruel in its clarity. Marcus wants to argue, to defend himself, but the truth is inescapable. Jessica was not wrong. By the time she left, Marcus weighed over 500 pounds. He could not play with his children. He could not take them to the park or attend their school events without needing accommodation. His entire existence had become organized around managing his weight and the limitations it imposed. "No," Marcus says. "She wasn't wrong. What happened after she left? I got worse. She took the kids. I got weekends at first, then just supervised visits, then nothing. The court said I couldn't provide adequate care. I lost custody completely when Lily was 12. And you ate?" "Yes." "Because eating did what?" Marcus stares at the screen at Dr. Lim's face, at the question he has never been asked directly. "It made me feel less alone." "But you were alone. The eating didn't change that." "I know." "Do you?" Dr. Lim's tone sharpens slightly. "Because the pattern I'm seeing is that every time you experience loss or pain or fear, you respond by eating. Your mother dies. You eat. Your marriage ends. You eat. You lose your children. You eat. You're told you might die without surgery, and even then, when you have a clear path to survival, You still hide food and eat in secret. So I'm asking you, do you actually understand that food is not a solution to anything you're feeling? The words hang in the air. Marcus feels something crack open inside him, a defense he did not know he was maintaining. I understand it intellectually, but not emotionally. No. Dr. Lim sets down her pen. Mr. Chen, here's what I need you to hear. The surgery Dr. Brennan can perform will make your stomach smaller. It will limit how much you can physically consume, but it will not eliminate hunger, and it will not eliminate the emotional need that has been driving your eating for 30 years. If we don't address that need, if you don't learn other ways to cope with loneliness, grief, fear, shame, then you will find ways around the surgery. You will stretch your stomach back out. You will regain the weight, and you will die. So what do? You start by telling the truth, not just to me, but to yourself. Every time you want to eat, you stop and ask, am I hungry or am I trying to feed something else? And if it's something else, you sit with that feeling instead of eating it away. I don't know how to do that. I know that's why we're going to work together twice a week until the surgery and after. This is not a quick fix, Mr. Chen. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, because it requires you to feel everything you've been avoiding for 3 decades. The session ends 20 minutes later. Marcus is left alone in the hospital room with instructions to journal about his emotions, to track not just what he eats but why he wants to eat, to begin the slow process of separating physical hunger from emotional need. That night, he writes for the first time in years. The words come haltingly, awkwardly, but they come. He writes about his mother, about the loneliness of his childhood after she died, about Jessica and the kids and the shame of losing them, about the way food became the only relationship he could count on, the only thing that never left. When Ellen visits the next morning, she finds him with the notebook still open on his lap. She does not ask what he wrote. She simply sits down and waits for him to speak. I'm sorry, Marcus says, for lying, for wasting your time, for making you believe I was doing better than I was. Ellen looks at him for a long moment. Are you going to do it again? I don't know. I want to say no, but Dr. Lim said I have to be honest. So, I don't know. That's the first honest thing you've said in weeks, Ellen says quietly. She reaches over and squeezes his hand once, then lets go. We keep going, but no more hiding. If you're struggling, you tell me. If you're thinking about ordering food, you call me first. Deal? Deal. It is not forgiveness, not entirely, but it is a start. Marcus is discharged from the hospital on day 38 of the original meal plan, which Dr. Brennan's office now calls Attempt 1. The new plan, Attempt 2, is identical in calories but includes accountability measures. Ellen receives a copy of every meal. Sharon is instructed to photograph Marcus's plate before and after each feeding. Lily has disabled all food delivery apps on Marcus's phone and changed the passwords. The surveillance feels invasive, infantilizing, but Marcus does not argue. He lost the right to privacy when he proved he could not be trusted with it. The first week back home is brutal. Marcus's body, which had begun adjusting to 2,400 calories, rebels against the restriction after 3 days of hospital meals. The hunger returns with renewed intensity, but this time when it arrives at 2 a.m. And Marcus reaches for his phone instinctively. He finds Ellen's number instead of a delivery app. She answers on the 3rd ring. Marcus, I want to order food. There is a pause. Marcus can hear her breathing, the sound of her sitting up in bed. Okay, tell me why. I'm hungry. No, you're not. You ate 6 hours ago. Your stomach is not empty. So tell me what you're actually feeling. Marcus closes his eyes. Doctor. Lim's voice echoes in his mind. Am I hungry or am I trying to feed something else? I'm scared. Of what? That I can't do this, that I'm going to fail again. That even if I lose the weight and get the surgery, I'll just end up back here in 5 years. Ellen is quiet for a moment. You might. But ordering food right now guarantees you fail. Not ordering food means you might succeed. So which one are you choosing? Not ordering. Good. Drink water. Go back to sleep. I'll see you in the morning. She hangs up. Marcus lies in the dark, holding his phone, riding out the wave of wanting until it passes. It takes 40 minutes, but it passes. By day 52, Marcus weighs 748 pounds, 62 pounds lost. Dr. Brennan's office schedules a video consultation to assess progress. This time, when Dr. Brennan appears on screen, his expression has shifted from skepticism to something closer to cautious approval. Mr. Chen, 62 pounds in 52 days. That's sustainable progress. How are you feeling? Hungry, Marcus says honestly, all the time. That's normal. Your body is adjusting to a massive caloric deficit. It will fight you every step of the way because evolutionarily, losing weight this quickly signals starvation. Your brain doesn't understand you're doing this intentionally. Dr. Brennan leans back in his chair. But here's what matters. You're doing it anyway. That's what I need to see. The consultation lasts 15 minutes. At the end, Dr. Brennan delivers news Marcus has been waiting for. If you maintain this trajectory for another 30 days, I'm prepared to schedule the surgery. You'll need to be at 700 pounds or below. We're currently projecting you'll reach that by day 82. Does that timeline work for you? Marcus feels something unfamiliar. Not quite hope, but its precursor. The possibility of hope. Yes. Then keep doing exactly what you're doing. I'll see you in 30 days. The screen goes dark. Ellen, who has been present for the call, allows herself a small smile. 82 days, we can do 82 days. But day 60 becomes day 70, and the progress begins to slow. Marcus's weight loss, which had been averaging 1.2 pounds per day, drops to half a pound, then less. The scale on day 70 shows 728, only 20 pounds lost in 18 days. Still progress, but not enough to reach 700 by day 82. Dr. Lim addresses it in their next therapy session. Your body is adapting. This is called metabolic adaptation. Your basal metabolic rate has decreased because your body is trying to conserve energy. It's not permanent, but it means you'll need to be patient. I don't have time to be patient, Marcus says. If I'm not at 700 by day 82, Dr. Brennan might postpone the surgery. Then we focus on what you can control. Compliance, honesty, emotional regulation. The weight will follow. Day 73 brings a different kind of change. Marcus, attempting to shift position in bed, realizes he can do it without assistance. His arms, no longer buried under as much tissue, can push against the mattress with enough leverage to move his torso. It is a small thing, almost meaningless in the context of his overall immobility, but it is the first independent movement he has managed in over a year. Sharon notices immediately. Did you just move yourself? I think so. She sets down the blood pressure cuff and watches as Marcus does it again, a slow, effortful shift from lying flat to propped on one elbow. That's good. That's real good. The physical changes accumulate slowly but undeniably. By day 78, Marcus can sit fully upright without assistance for nearly 3 minutes before fatigue sets in. The pressure sores on his back have healed completely. His breathing, while still labored, no longer requires the CPAP machine during waking hours. Ellen notices the changes too, though she mentions them carefully, afraid that acknowledging success might somehow curse it. You look different, she says one morning while setting up breakfast. In your face. Less swelling. Marcus has not seen his face clearly in months. The mirror in the bathroom is inaccessible, and he has avoided looking at photos. But when Ellen holds up her phone and shows him a picture, he sees what she means. His features, previously buried under layers of fluid retention and fat, have begun to re-emerge. He looks less like a medical case study and more like a person. Day 80 arrives. The scale shows 706 pounds, 104 pounds lost, 4 pounds over target, with 2 days remaining before the consultation that will determine surgery eligibility. Dr. Brennan's office calls unexpectedly that afternoon. Not the doctor himself, but his surgical coordinator, a woman named Beth who speaks with professional efficiency. Mr. Chen, Dr. Brennan reviewed your progress charts. He wants to move your consultation up to tomorrow instead of day 82. Can you be available at 10 a.m.? Yes, Marcus says, though his heart is racing. Moving the consultation up could mean Dr. Brennan is impressed by the progress, or it could mean something else entirely, a concern, a complication, a reason to delay. The call ends. Marcus texts Ellen, then Lily, then sits alone with his thoughts until Ellen arrives an hour later. Why would he move it up? Marcus asks. I don't know. Maybe he thinks you're ready. Or maybe he thinks I'm not going to make it to 700 and he wants to tell me in person. Ellen sits down heavily in the chair. Stop, you've lost 104 pounds in 80 days. You've done everything he asked. Whatever he says tomorrow, you've already proven you can do this. But Marcus cannot shake the anxiety. That night he barely sleeps. He lies awake running through scenarios, imagining Dr. Brennan's face delivering bad news, imagining the surgery being postponed or cancelled entirely, imagining the weight returning because the one thing keeping him compliant, the fixed deadline, has been taken away. At 9:30 the next morning, Ellen sets up the laptop. At exactly 10 a.m., Dr. Brennan appears on screen. His expression is unreadable. Mr. Chen, he says, I moved this call up because I wanted to deliver this news as soon as possible. You've lost 104 pounds. Your cardiac function tests show significant improvement. Your blood work is the best it's been in years. I'm clearing you for surgery. The words take a moment to register. Marcus stares at the screen, certain he misheard. You're at 706 pounds, Dr. Brennan continues. I wanted 700, but given your trajectory and the clear evidence of sustained commitment, I'm comfortable proceeding. The surgery is scheduled for 3 weeks from today. My office will send you the preoperative instructions. Do you have any questions? Marcus's throat is too tight to speak. Ellen answers for him. No questions. Thank you, Dr. Brennan. Don't thank me yet. The surgery is the beginning, not the end. But you've earned this chance, Mr. Chen. Make sure you're ready to use it. The screen goes dark. Ellen starts crying, quiet tears she does not bother to wipe away. Marcus sits motionless, feeling the weight of 3 weeks, 21 days until the moment that will either save his life or end it. Lily arrives that evening. She stands in the doorway for a long moment, then walks over and hugs her father for the first time in over a year, carefully, afraid of hurting him but unable to stay distant any longer. I'm proud of you, Dad, she says quietly. Marcus holds on to her and lets himself believe for the first time that survival might actually be possible. The preoperative instructions arrive by email within 2 hours of Dr. Brennan's approval. Ellen prints them immediately, 14 pages detailing everything Marcus must do in the 3 weeks before surgery. Medication adjustments, additional blood work, a liquid-only diet for the final 72 hours. Consent forms acknowledging the risks, which are listed in clinical detail across 2 full pages. Ellen reads them aloud because Marcus asks her to. He needs to hear the words spoken, needs them to be real and unavoidable. Risks include, but are not limited to, excessive bleeding, infection, adverse reactions to anesthesia, blood clots, pulmonary embolism, stroke, heart attack, respiratory failure, and death. Ellen's voice wavers slightly on the last word, but does not stop. Due to patient's extreme weight and compromised cardiovascular function, risk of mortality during or immediately following the procedure is estimated at 18 to 22%. 1 in 5 chance of dying on the table. Marcus has known this intellectually since the first consultation, but hearing it read aloud transforms it from abstract possibility to concrete reality. Keep going, he says. Ellen continues through post-operative risks, leaks at the surgical site, the need for additional emergency procedures, the possibility of organ failure during recovery. By the time she finishes, the folder of consent forms requiring Marcus's signature is nearly an inch thick. You don't have to do this, Ellen says quietly, setting the papers aside. If you're not ready, if you want more time, there is no more time. Marcus looks at her directly. You heard what Dr. Brennan said 3 months ago, 12 to 18 months before my heart fails completely. We're already 4 months into that window. If I wait, I die. If I do nothing, I die. The surgery is the only option that gives me a chance that includes a 1 in 5 possibility of not waking up. I know. They sit in silence. The afternoon light coming through the window has started to fade. Outside, normal life continues. Cars passing, neighbors walking dogs, the distant sound of children playing. Marcus has not been part of that world in so long it feels like a foreign country. That night, alone in the dark, Marcus begins writing letters. The first is to Lily. He writes about the mistakes he made, the years he spent choosing food over his children, the profound regret that has accompanied every moment of their estrangement. He writes that he understands if she cannot forgive him, but that he needs her to know he is sorry, and that the surgery is his attempt to become the father he should have been all along. The second letter is to Michael, his son, who is 16 now and has not spoken to Marcus in over 4 years. Marcus does not even know if Michael will read it. Jessica has full custody and no obligation to pass along messages from the father who effectively abandoned them through his own self-destruction. But Marcus writes anyway, telling Michael things he should have said years ago, that the divorce was not Michael's fault, that Marcus's weight was not something Michael caused or could have prevented, that he hopes someday they can rebuild what was lost. The third letter is to Ellen. It is the hardest to write because Ellen is still here, still fighting for him, still sacrificing her own life to keep him alive. Marcus tries to find words adequate to express his gratitude and fails repeatedly. Finally, he writes simply, "Thank you for not giving up on me when I had given up on myself. If I don't make it through the surgery, please know that these last few months, fighting to survive, proving I could change, were only possible because you believed I could." He seals the letters in envelopes and puts them in the top drawer of his bedside table. Ellen will find them if the worst happens. Dr. Lim addresses the fear directly in their next therapy session. "It's normal to be terrified," she says. "You're facing the possibility of death. But I want you to also examine the other fear, the one underneath. What scares you more, dying on the table or surviving and having to live differently?" The question stops Marcus cold. "I want to survive." "I believe you. But survival means change. It means learning to live without food as emotional management. It means rebuilding relationships with your children from a position of health instead of helplessness. It means taking responsibility for the years you lost. That's frightening too. Marcus has not allowed himself to think beyond the surgery. All his focus has been on reaching 700 pounds, getting approved, surviving the procedure. But Dr. Lim is right. Survival is not an endpoint. It is the beginning of a completely different life, one Marcus has not lived in decades. "I don't know who I am without this," he says, gesturing at his body. "Then you'll have to find out." The days before surgery pass with strange momentum. Marcus continues losing weight, down to 698 pounds 1 week out, then 692 3 days before the procedure. His body, sensing something imminent, seems to be shedding mass in preparation. Dr. Brennan schedules a final video consultation 48 hours before surgery. His demeanor is different this time, less clinical assessment, more preparation for battle. "Mr. Chen, I'm going to walk you through what will happen. The surgery will take between 6 and 8 hours. We'll be performing a gastric sleeve procedure, removing approximately 80% of your stomach. At your weight, this is technically complex. Your liver is enlarged, which limits visibility. Your abdominal wall is thick, which makes accessing the stomach difficult. There will be a team of 8 people in the operating room, including 2 anesthesiologists." Marcus listens as Dr. Brennan describes the process in detail. The laparoscopic tools, the cutting and stapling of stomach tissue, the careful inspection for leaks. It sounds less like medicine and more like carpentry, mechanical and precise. "The most dangerous moments are induction of anesthesia and emergence," Dr. Brennan continues. "Your heart will be under extreme stress. We'll have you on multiple medications to support cardiac function, but there are no guarantees. If something goes wrong, if your heart stops, we will attempt resuscitation. But I need you to understand that at your size, successful resuscitation is not always possible." "I understand. Do you have any questions?" Marcus has 1,000 questions, but only one that matters. "What are my actual chances? Not the statistical 18 to 22%. What do you think, based on what you've seen from me?" Dr. Brennan is quiet for a moment, considering. "I think you've done everything I asked. I think your cardiac function has improved significantly. I think you're as prepared as someone in your condition can be. But I also think this surgery is among the most high-risk procedures I've performed in my career. If I had to give you a number, I'd say you have a 70% chance of surviving the procedure itself and the immediate post-operative period. After that, your outcome depends entirely on your choices. 70%. Marcus lets the number settle. 3 in 10 chance of dying, 7 in 10 chance of living. Those are better odds than doing nothing, Marcus says. Yes, they are. The call ends. Marcus has 46 hours remaining. Ellen spends the night before surgery at Marcus's house. She sleeps in the living room on the couch, close enough to hear if he calls out. Neither of them sleeps well. Marcus wakes every few hours, checking the clock, counting down the minutes until the ambulance arrives at 6 a.m. to transport him to the hospital. At 4:30, he gives up on sleep entirely. He lies in the dark, listening to his own breathing, feeling his heart beat against his ribs. This body, this enormous failing prison of a body, has been his reality for so long, he cannot imagine existence without it. Tomorrow, if he survives, that will begin to change. At 5:45, Ellen appears in the doorway. It's time. She helps him into the wheelchair they rented specifically for this purpose, a bariatric model that can support his weight. She has already packed his bag, identification, insurance cards, the consent forms, and the 3 sealed letters in case he does not come home. The ambulance arrives at 6 a.m. exactly. The same paramedic from 3 months ago, Costa, is on the crew. She recognizes Marcus immediately. "Mr. Chen," she says, "I hear you're having surgery today." "Yes. You've lost weight, I can see it. 112 pounds. Costa nods approvingly. "That's good work. Let's get you there safely." The transport is smoother this time. Marcus's body, smaller now, fits more easily into the ambulance. The loading process takes 10 minutes instead of 25. Ellen rides in front again, her hands folded tightly in her lap. They arrive at the hospital at 6:30. The surgical team is waiting. Nurses, anesthesiologists, Dr. Brennan in scrubs with his surgical cap already on. They move Marcus from the ambulance gurney to a hospital bed with practiced efficiency, then wheel him toward the preoperative area. Ellen walks alongside the bed, holding Marcus's hand. At the doors to the surgical wing, she has to stop. Only patience beyond this point. "I'll be here when you wake up," she says. "I know. I love you." Marcus squeezes her hand once. "I love you too." Then the doors open, and he is wheeled through into the bright, sterile space where his life will either be saved or end. The preoperative area is cold and fluorescent, designed for efficiency rather than comfort. Marcus is transferred to a surgical table, reinforced specifically for his weight, a piece of equipment the hospital owns but rarely uses. 2 nurses work quickly, inserting IV lines into both arms, attaching monitors to his chest, wrapping a blood pressure cuff around his upper arm that barely fits even at its maximum extension. One of the anesthesiologists introduces himself, Dr. Kapoor, a man in his 40s with steady hands and a calm voice. "Mr. Chen, I'm going to be managing your anesthesia today. I need you to know this is going to be challenging. Your airway is compromised by the tissue in your neck and chest. Intubation will be difficult. Once you're under, your breathing will be entirely managed by the ventilator. Do you understand?" "Yes." "Are you ready?" Marcus thinks about the letters in Ellen's purse. He thinks about Lily and Michael. He thinks about his mother, dead for 30 years, and whether he will see her again in the next few hours. He thinks about Dr. Brennan's 70% survival estimate and the 30% that represents oblivion. "Yes," he says. "I'm ready." Dr. Kapoor nods to the nurse, who begins administering the pre-sedation medication through the IV. Marcus feels it almost immediately, a warmth spreading through his veins, a loosening of the fear that has gripped him since yesterday. The ceiling lights blur slightly. Voices become distant. "Count backward from 10, Dr. Kapoor says. 10, 9, 8, 7. Marcus does not reach 6. The surgery begins at 7:47 a.m. Dr. Brennan stands at the operating table, flanked by 2 surgical residents, with nurses positioned at strategic points around the room. The anesthesia team occupies one corner, monitoring screens that display Marcus's heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, and a dozen other vital signs that must remain stable for the next 8 hours. Dr. Brennan makes the first incision, a laparoscopic port inserted through the abdominal wall. At Marcus's size, even this preliminary step is complicated. The abdominal wall is nearly 4 inches thick in places. Layers of fat and tissue that must be navigated carefully to avoid damaging underlying structures. Liver is enlarged as expected, Dr. Brennan says, his voice measured and clinical. More than anticipated, we're going to need additional retraction. One of the residents adjusts the surgical instruments, pulling back tissue to create a workspace. The camera feed shows Marcus's internal anatomy on monitors mounted around the room. A landscape of yellow fat, dark organs, the stomach visible beneath the liver's edge. At 8:15 a.m., the first complication occurs. Marcus's blood pressure drops suddenly, from 142/88 to 98/62 in less than 30 seconds. Alarms sound on the anesthesia monitors. Hypotensive, Dr. Kapoor announces. Starting pressors. Medication floods through Marcus's IV lines. Chemical support for a cardiovascular system struggling under the combined stress of anesthesia and surgical invasion. The blood pressure stabilizes at 110/70, acceptable but requiring constant vigilance. Dr. Brennan does not pause. His hands continue working, dissecting tissue, identifying the anatomical landmarks necessary to perform the gastric sleeve. The greater curvature of the stomach. The blood vessels that must be preserved. The tissue planes that separate stomach from surrounding organs. By 9:30 a.m., the team has successfully mobilized the stomach. Dr. Brennan uses a surgical stapler to begin the resection, cutting away the majority of the stomach and sealing the edges with rows of titanium staples. Each firing of the stapler is carefully positioned, creating a new, smaller stomach, roughly the size and shape of a banana. The removed portion of stomach, nearly 80% of Marcus's original organ, is placed in a surgical basin. It is enormous, distended from years of overeating, a physical manifestation of the relationship with food that nearly killed him. At 10:42 a.m., the second complication arises. Marcus's oxygen saturation begins dropping from 98% to 94, then 90, then 86. The ventilator alarms sound. Desaturation, Dr. Siu. Kapoor says, his voice tight with controlled urgency. Adjusting vent settings. He increases the oxygen concentration, adjusts the pressure, but the numbers continue falling. 82%, 79%. Marcus's body, even under anesthesia, is struggling to maintain basic respiratory function. We need to wrap this up, Dr. Kapoor tells Dr. Brennan. His pulmonary function is deteriorating. Dr. Brennan's jaw tightens, but his hands remain steady. 20 minutes. I need to check for leaks and ensure hemostasis. He works faster now, injecting dye into the new stomach and watching on the monitor for any signs of leaking at the staple lines. The dye reveals a small area of concern, not an active leak, but a weak point that could become one. Dr. Brennan reinforces it with additional sutures, meticulous work that cannot be rushed despite the growing urgency. Marcus's oxygen saturation stabilizes at 76%. Dangerously low but not immediately critical. Dr. Kapoor administers additional medications, adjusts the ventilator again, watches the monitors with the focus of someone managing a system on the edge of failure. At 11:18 a.m., Dr. Brennan completes the final inspection. No leaks. Bleeding controlled. The surgery itself is technically successful. Closing, he announces. The team works quickly to remove instruments, close the laparoscopic ports, suture the small incisions in Marcus's abdomen. By 11:47 a.m., the surgical portion is complete. But Marcus is not safe yet. Preparing for emergence, Dr. Kapoor says, this is the critical phase. Bringing Marcus out of anesthesia is as dangerous as putting him under. His body must transition from chemically supported breathing back to spontaneous respiration. His cardiovascular system must handle the stress of waking. His brain must resume function after hours of induced unconsciousness. Dr. Kapoor begins reducing the anesthetic agents, allowing them to clear from Marcus's system gradually. The ventilator is adjusted to encourage Marcus's own breathing efforts. The surgical team watches the monitors, waiting for signs of consciousness. At 12:03 p.m., Marcus's heart rate spikes suddenly, from 72 beats per minute to 134, then 156. The rhythm becomes irregular, chaotic. V-tach, someone says. Ventricular tachycardia. Marcus's heart is no longer beating effectively, just quivering uselessly in his chest. Dr. Kapoor moves immediately. Charging to 200. Everyone clear. The defibrillator paddles are positioned on Marcus's chest. The shock delivers 200 joules of electricity directly to his heart, attempting to reset the rhythm. Marcus's body jerks once on the table. The monitor shows continued V-tach. Again. 300 joules. Another shock. This time the rhythm converts, irregular at first, then stabilizing into something closer to normal. Sinus rhythm, fast but organized. The heart rate gradually decreases. 140, 128, 110, 98. Dr. Kapoor exhales slowly. We have him back. Over the next 30 minutes, Marcus begins breathing on his own. Small, shallow breaths at first, then deeper. His oxygen saturation climbs. 80%, 85, 92. The ventilator is removed at 12:41 p.m. Marcus's throat, traumatized by the breathing tube, cannot produce sound, but his chest rises and falls independently. At 1:15 p.m., his eyes open briefly. Unfocused, confused, but open. A nurse leans into his field of vision. Mr. Chen, the surgery is over. You're in recovery. Can you hear me? Marcus's eyes close again, but his right hand moves slightly, a gesture that might be acknowledgement or might be involuntary. The nurse takes it as a positive sign. Dr. Brennan removes his surgical gloves and walks to the waiting area where Ellen has been sitting for 7 hours. She stands immediately when she sees him, her face pale with exhaustion and fear. The surgery was successful, Dr. Brennan says without preamble, but he's not out of danger yet. He had significant complications, respiratory distress and a cardiac event during emergence. We got him back, but the next 48 hours are critical. If he develops infection, if his heart destabilizes again, if he has a pulmonary embolism, any of those could be fatal. Ellen's legs seem to weaken. She sits down heavily. But he's alive. He's alive. For now. That's all I can tell you. Dr. Brennan leaves to begin post-operative notes. Ellen sits alone in the waiting room, holding her phone, trying to decide how to text Lily with news that is simultaneously the best and worst she could deliver. Surgery done. He's alive. Not stable yet. We'll update when I know more. In the recovery room, Marcus drifts in and out of consciousness, his body fighting battles he is not aware of, his survival still balanced on the edge of a blade that could tip either direction. The surgery is over, but the question of whether Marcus Chen will survive it remains unanswered. Marcus Chen stands in his sister's backyard on a Sunday afternoon in late spring, holding a paper plate with a single piece of grilled chicken and a small portion of vegetables. The plate feels strange in his hands, not because of its weight, but because he is standing while holding it. A simple act that would have been impossible 2 years ago. He weighs 312 pounds, not thin by any measure, but 498 pounds lighter than the day Dr. Brennan approved him for surgery. He wears normal clothes purchased from a regular store, size 3XL instead of the specialized garments that once had to be custom ordered. He walks without assistance, drives his own car, and no longer requires a CPAP machine to breathe at night. The physical transformation is undeniable. But standing here among Ellen's family and friends at her daughter's graduation party, Marcus understands that the more significant changes are invisible. Ellen approaches with her husband David, who Marcus has now met more than a dozen times. Their relationship is cordial but not warm. David supported Ellen through Marcus's crisis, but he has not forgotten the strain it placed on their marriage, the months when Ellen came home exhausted and emotionally depleted from managing her brother's survival. "How are you feeling?" Ellen asks. "Good. Full, actually." Marcus looks down at the half-eaten chicken on his plate. His stomach, reduced to a fraction of its original size, can hold perhaps 6 ounces of food at a time. Eating beyond that point causes immediate, severe discomfort. "I think I'm done." "You barely ate anything." "That's the point." Ellen smiles, but there is something in her expression Marcus has learned to recognize. A watchfulness, a residual fear that the progress could reverse at any moment. She has never said this explicitly, But Marcus knows she checks his social media for signs of weight regain, asks carefully casual questions about his eating habits, monitors him in ways she probably believes are subtle. He does not resent it. He earned her vigilance through years of lies and broken promises. Lily arrives an hour later, bringing her boyfriend, a mechanical engineering student named Jason, who treats Marcus with polite distance. Lily has allowed Marcus back into her life incrementally, carefully, with boundaries that remain in place. They have dinner together once a month. She answers his calls, but she has not invited him to her apartment, has not reintegrated him into the daily fabric of her existence. Marcus understands this too. Trust, once destroyed, cannot be rebuilt with weight loss alone. "Hey, Dad," Lily says, and the word still sounds slightly uncertain in her mouth, as though she is testing whether he has earned it back yet. "Hey, Lil, this is a good party." "Yeah, Aunt Ellen went all out." They stand together in awkward silence. Jason makes an excuse and walks away to get a drink, giving them space neither requested nor knows how to fill. "I saw Dr. Lim on Thursday," Marcus says finally, offering information because he does not know what else to give. "How's that going?" "Hard. We're working on why I still think about food constantly even though I physically can't eat the way I used to." Lily nods. She does not ask for details. Their relationship has not progressed to the point where she wants to hear about his therapy sessions, his ongoing struggles, the reality that surgery fixed his stomach, but not the reasons he destroyed it in the first place. "Michael called me last week," Marcus says. This gets Lily's attention. Her younger brother has maintained complete distance since the divorce, refusing even the limited contact Lily eventually allowed. "What did he say?" "Not much. He asked if I was still losing weight. I told him I've been maintaining for 6 months. He said that was good, and then he hung up. That's more than I expected." "Me too." The conversation ends there. Lily rejoins Jason, and Marcus is left alone near the edge of the yard, watching families interact with an ease he once took for granted and may never fully reclaim. Dr. Brennan sees Marcus every 3 months for follow-up appointments. The most recent visit 2 weeks ago included blood work, a psychological evaluation, and a weigh-in that showed Marcus had maintained 312 pounds for 6 consecutive months, the first time his weight has been stable in over a decade. This is the hardest phase, Dr. Brennan told him during that appointment. The surgery is over. The dramatic weight loss is over. Now you're living with the consequences of the choices you made for 30 years, and you have to keep making different choices every single day for the rest of your life. Most patients fail here. Am I failing? Not yet. But you're not succeeding either. You're maintaining, which is better than regaining, but it's not the same as building a life worth living. That's the work you still have to do. Marcus thinks about this now, standing in Ellen's backyard, with half a piece of chicken on his plate. He is alive, which Dr. Brennan said was only a 70% probability 18 months ago. He is mobile. He is no longer bedbound or dependent on others for basic functions of existence. By any objective measure, he has succeeded. But success feels emptier than he anticipated. He is not happy, not fulfilled, not experiencing the joy he imagined would accompany survival. He is simply existing in a smaller body, still lonely, still haunted by the years he lost, still uncertain whether his children will ever truly forgive him, or whether Ellen will ever stop watching him with that careful, fearful vigilance. Dr. Lim has told him repeatedly that this is normal, that the fantasy of transformation, that losing weight would automatically fix everything broken in his life, is exactly that, a fantasy. The real work, she says, is learning to build relationships not mediated by food, to sit with uncomfortable emotions without eating them away, to find purpose beyond the singular goal of not dying. Marcus does not know if he can do that work. Some days he is not sure he wants to. The food may be gone as a coping mechanism, but the grief beneath it remains. Grief for his mother, for his failed marriage, for the father he never became, for the decades he spent choosing oblivion over presence. He throws away the rest of the chicken and walks back toward the house. Ellen catches his eye from across the yard and waves. He waves back. It is a small gesture, ordinary and unremarkable, but it represents something that once seemed impossible. Marcus Chen, alive and standing, participating however marginally in the world he nearly left permanently. As the party continues around him, Marcus allows himself a single quiet acknowledgement. He is not healed, not whole, not transformed into someone new. But he is here. He survived. And whether that survival was worth the cost, to himself, to Ellen, to his children, is a question he will spend the rest of his life attempting to answer. The sun begins to set. Guests start leaving. Marcus helps Ellen collect paper plates and plastic cups, small acts of service he can finally perform. When the yard is clean and most people have gone, Ellen sits beside him on the back porch steps. "You did good today," she says. "I didn't do anything. You showed up. You stayed. That's more than you could have done 2 years ago." Marcus nods. They sit together in the fading light, two people bound by blood and crisis, by the weight of what was lost and the fragile possibility of what might still be built. It is not redemption. It is not forgiveness. But it is a beginning, and for now that has to be enough. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life journeys of struggle, choices, and transformation, so you don't miss the next episodes and follow each step of these powerful life stories. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.